So just yesterday, as of the recording of this video, I made a video about how to stay motivated like an anime character. That video went over more practical steps on how to become and stay motivated akin to that of an anime character. However, I never really went over the philosophical undertones that actually make us motivated, and why I think anime characters specifically tend to highlight that innate motivation inside of us. I felt like there was something missing in that video, and it was really bugging me when I was making it, although I feel that way for all of my videos, so I guess it wasn't like anything new. But now I think I actually found it, and I think it's substantial enough for me to make another video on, so I mean, here we are. I'm pretty tired from making the last video, so I won't have a clear 3-step structure like I had the last time. I'm just gonna ramble along and then press end record when I finish. So when I was reading the comments, it really communicated this to me. Not explicitly, but implicitly. There were 2 comments I want to highlight in particular that really highlighted the key concepts of my realization. It encapsulates what makes people, myself included, motivated by anime characters. Hillary Majors says, "This was anime, not Avatar, but Zuko's sheer persistence in the face of constant failure and shame is one of the inspirations to keep going, but is one of my inspirations to keep going when I'm doubting myself." And Shonen Boys says, Luffy being the symbol of freedom and willpower has really motivated me. And this reminded me of something I read before about generally what makes stories so intriguing. What makes stories in general so intriguing, and why stories and myths pass on from generation to generation, and why a lot of religions tell stories, is because it captures the essence of humanity. It distills and communicates and clarifies it, bringing into focus who we are and who we ought to be and who we can become. What these comments told me was that the reason people find these stories so invigorating, why I find them so invigorating, is because they show us an ideal. Zuko showed Hillary who he or she wants to be. Luffy, being a symbol of freedom and willpower, represents an ideal for shonen boys, and that speaks to him and motivates him. This is probably why religious figures revolve around a central, idealized figure. It motivates their followers to strive to become that ideal. These stories inspire us to imitate. This is why that boxer was so inspired by Rock Lee. It's why all those bodybuilders are so inspired by Dragon Ball Z and many more. We may think of this imitation as something that just children do, and perhaps on a more superficial level of imitation that is true, but I still think that even as adults, the media, the television shows that we watch can still influence us. Why Rock Lee, Naruto, and the Dragon Ball stories speak to me and motivate me is that they show that even the most underdog characters can work their way up and train themselves to become amazing, despite the fact that people doubt them and they may start off lower. Like, for example, Rock Lee didn't have ninjutsu. These characters will train and overcome their hardships no matter what. These capacities and behaviors lie dormant within our very nature, I think to a degree and in a way that can't fully be articulated. Knowledge is great, but I think we resonate more with full stories. Now, when you take that innate human call to be motivated by stories, and you attach anime to that, you may be able to see why anime especially can motivate people. How it can speak to some people on a really deep level. Anime is much more exaggerated. You can have all kinds of crazy scenarios and exaggerate every ideal trait the characters try to embody. Now, you can probably see why religions tend to have their leaders perform some kind of miracle now. Miracles are the supernatural manifestation of an idealized behavior. Oh, and I say this as a Christian, by the way, someone who would identify as highly religious on top of that, as you've probably surmised by watching enough of my videos. I'm not actually trying to knock on religion, it kind of sounds like I'm doing that right now, I think. I think conversely this is why God parted the Red Sea with Moses and how Jesus walked on water. It was to help us contextually illustrate his teachings in a deeper narrative way. This is why, miracles only really happen when an idealized behavior is fully embraced. Again, this is all in a way that can't fully be captured just by writing a wisdom book. Like, it's one thing to say the power of God will transform you, but it's an entirely new thing to see Peter go from someone who was afraid to even tell a little girl he was a disciple of Jesus to someone who would preach to thousands of people later on. You know, clearly someone who's not afraid to say he's a disciple of Jesus. This reminds me of a post I recently saw by the YouTuber Think Before You Sleep. It's a long post, but he essentially said that we learn better from stories rather than like self-help books because they dissect human behavior and thought, and through that we encode philosophical and psychological messages. I'll leave the post here if you want to read it. You should probably pause the video. Back to anime. Anime can tap into that supernatural motivator more easily and more effectively than most other shows for the reasons I mentioned above. Or I guess technically before for you guys. You're not reading it, you're not like scrolling down on your screen like I am. Anyways, for me, it makes me question subconsciously who I am and who I could be. I look at Goku and Rock Lee and Zoro train. I look at Mirio's unwavering positivity. And because what they did was so supernatural and unrealistic, it inspires me more to reach that ideal. Hillary and Shonen Boys see Zuko's and Luffy's arc and ideals as an ideal, and their ideals are so supernatural that it gives them, in turn, supernatural conviction. So yeah, that's why I think anime characters motivate us so much. It's an exaggerated version of an already exaggerated ideal, and subconsciously we want to imitate that. So yeah, there's the video. Maybe that was useful to you. If this did inspire you, there's a more concrete process of fully taking advantage of that motivation that I highlighted in my previous video. I really should have mentioned this stuff in that video, but oh well, I didn't quite make that connection until just a few hours ago. Unfortunately, thus tends to be the nature of these type of videos. Not even just these type of videos, like my entire job, I guess you can call YouTube. Or maybe I'm just being overly critical. Content creators tend to do that, and I'm no different. But yeah, I'm sorry for the extra video. I feel compelled to apologize. Anyways, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll catch you all in the next video. Alright, peace.